So we have two samples here. We have a metal lath concrete system over here, and this is a Tufflex rubber base system. The Deckexpert system, which is what we're using here, is a Class A fire rated system. Tufflex rubber coating has no reports whatsoever that we know of, and so what we're doing here today is we're simulating what might happen to a coating if a grill spilled out some coals. So what we've done is put some mesquite coals on top of each, got them heated up already, and now we're going to let them sit on top of the decks, see what happens as they burn themselves out. So we're going to come back and check them out as they burn out, and we'll examine it at the end when it's completely burned out as well. Right now I can tell you that the Tufflex, I can smell a bad odor. Seems like it's melting underneath there maybe, and starting to put out some fumes. Don't see anything happening yet with the Deckexpert system, but let's watch it here a little bit and we'll see what happens. So it's just been a few minutes of putting the coals on, and right now what we're seeing is the Deckexpert system over here is smoldering, or I should say the coals are smoldering, but they aren't burning. Over here on the Tufflex system though, we can see that this is in flames, and it doesn't appear, or it does appear that the Tufflex system itself is supporting these flames. There's a really bad odor. Again, there's no flames coming out of the coals on the Deckexpert system here. This is a Class A fire system, fire rated system. Tufflex, as we said, has no known fire resistance to it, and it appears that the Tufflex system is sustaining these flames and is actually igniting. This is hot, definitely hot. Can't keep my hand there very long. This, as we see, is incomplete flames. Just so that we can see this too, this is a very thick system. This was taken off a deck a few years ago in Ventura that had failed. The Tufflex had actually just failed right off the bottom of the deck, just came loose and delaminated. I've had that for a little while. This is just an old sample of Deckexpert that I had made up. So here we are still with the fires going. I do have smoke curling out from the edge of that Deckexpert sample there, but we don't have any sustained flame, not like what we have with the Tufflex system here. And this, obviously, we could see would be a concern if these embers are landing on a deck, that they're going to sustain the flame and in fact carry the fire into the plywood perhaps, and cause a house fire, and it would end up not protecting the house. Keep in mind too that this is a very thick piece of Tufflex. It is far thicker than the average application that we find on most decks. On the Deckexpert side, we do have some smoke curling out of the edge there, indicating that there's some burning going on through. So it went out, but I just did have a little bit of flame coming out of the edge of this Deckexpert system. But it has blown out, but you can see smoke pouring out. Over here, Tufflex system is still on fire. You can see the amount of damage that's going on. Desert Crete system, the paint is still entirely intact around the burned embers. Nothing is happening there. On the Tufflex, the embers that are burning, the deck is on fire itself, all around it. So it's been about 30 minutes now, roughly. Maybe a little less, maybe a little more, but we can see that the Desert Crete system is still intact. There is some smoke coming out from the edge, but there is no active flame. With the Tufflex system here, we have active flame still going, and it appears that it has burned through the entire coating. So with this going on this long, we're going to put the fire out. We're going to let the samples cool down, and we're going to do some inspection on it and see what's happened internally to the Desert Crete system after it's cooled off. We can already see what's happened with the Tufflex system, so we'll get back to you. Wow, so I just picked this up, and it's still in flames, and we can see that it's burning underneath here. Wow, so we're going to put this out now and stop this from burning. Here's what's happening with the Desert Crete sample. We can see that it's going a little bit, but not much. So this rubber is turned into liquid rubber and is really creating quite a fire. Quite concerning. All out. So we can see the Desert Crete sample here. Let's take a look. We have very little damage to the coating here on the exterior. Obviously there is some, but certainly doesn't look like that, does it? So let's see what happens when we throw a little water on top of this. So there is some cracking and heaving. I don't know if that's from thermal when I just threw all the cold water on it or not, but there is some damage. But the point is that this has not sustained a flame and would allow the embers to go out on top of it with very little damage. That is a thick coating and has burned entirely through and would cause significant damage to the plywood underneath. So here we have the sample of the Desert Crete that we put the fire on, the coals on, and burned. You can see that it's cracked and crazed here. I've got some damage here at the edge where it's charred a little bit. This is lifted and popping off, but let's take a look underneath and see. So this is coming off real easy. It's all in the damaged area where the coals were. So if I take this, dump it on the ground. Okay, so we can't really see what's below that yet. Math looks pretty good still. Okay, so we do have some charred plywood underneath here. But as we saw in the video, we never saw any flames coming out. Actually, I take it back. I did see a little bit of flame come out of the side once, but it went right out. So, all in all, this sample has fared a lot better, obviously, than the Tufflex sample has.